Tamra Farah joins me tonight. She's the executive director for Moms for America. Tamra, we appreciate you taking the time. I understand you are in favor of giving parents a little more power out there. And 81% of Americans actually told WAPO last year in November parents should have some say in school curriculum. You know, that's in the mainstream, 81%. And about half said they should get a lot of say. But many people fear, as you know, going too far, banning too many books, being anti-history or anti-gay or whatever. What is the core request here?
The core request is to get back to good old-fashioned focus and emphasis on competency in core subjects, good electives, but no political ideology. So what we're seeing is what many people are calling, of course, indoctrination instead of education. And I really think they have a point because of how extreme things are. So the left wants to argue that it's okay for a third grader to go down to their resource center, which is the library in their school, and pull 2 or 3 books off the shelf that has graphic gay sex. And I am not exaggerating. And parents just don't believe that's appropriate. It has nothing to do with them being anti-gay, anti-choice, but they do not believe that that is appropriate to be in the hands of K through 12 children. So that's just one example.
That example you brought up, it's actually the one that popped out to me because I went searching this morning to figure out what's out there, what's objectionable. You know, Toni Morrison, she's a great American author, that's one thing. But then I saw most of the posts were about this book called Gender Queer. It's a graphic novel. It's about, I guess, gender identity, and it depicts pretty explicit drawings of providing parental warning, oral sex. Like, it's in full color, everything. And reports say it was in middle schools and high schools. I saw reports saying it was in some elementary schools. And that would come as a surprise to a lot of parents.
Yes, it does. And it's interesting because we have COVID lockdowns and school closures to thank, actually, for the exposure of all of this to parents. Because prior to teachers trying to tell parents that they were not allowed to look at what the kids were learning, oh, yes, that came down during 2020, that they were not allowed to look over the shoulder of their children and see what was happening in the classroom, big question mark right there. But prior to that, they, of course, were doing that. Any parent would do that happened to be around. They're curious. They want to see, how's it doing? How are my kids doing watching this? So what we are dealing with here is not an issue with the left. I've seen many people pushing back, especially about these books that you and I just discussed, calling that censorship. I don't call that censorship. I call that what is age appropriate and what should be in schools versus like in a bookstore, right? If parents want to buy that for their child, that I might not agree, but that's up to them.
Tamra, let me give you the opposing view, and you've heard this.
Yeah.
Teachers are the experts. They have been entrusted with devising, with delivering lessons for centuries. You know, you probably have teachers that formed your life and thoughts in profound ways. I definitely did. I think we all did. And so people say, why not leave them alone? Just let them do their jobs. You say what?
There has been a long history of not, to your point, over-dictating and over-defining what teachers, let's say lesson plans should look like, right? To your point, there should be some latitude that they can create lesson plans and that it should be based on, again, reading, writing, arithmetic. It used to be based on classical liberal arts education, and any of your listeners can do a little research on that, and you will probably say to yourself, yeah, for generations, that's what we were all taught. But here's what happened. In the vacuum of some guidelines, and I'm not exaggerating here, the Frankfurt School from Germany came and set up shop in New York in the early to middle 20th century, along with John Dewey. So we've got a vacuum of people dictating what should be in classrooms, and there's been a slow progression toward what we are now seeing.